The United Nations has issued a stark warning that emergency measures to contain COVID-19 should not be used by governments around the world for political ends. The warning comes as concern grows over what's happening now in a number of countries that could create long-lasting challenges to freedom and human rights. Joining me now with more is Executive Director of Human Rights Watch, Ken Roth. Ken, thanks so much for joining us this morning. So in the United States, close to home, U.S. President Donald Trump is being accused of conducting a post-impeachment purge and pushing his agenda in COVID-19 relief measures. Talk to us about what that's all about.
Well, I think he's using the fact that everybody is rightfully distracted by the coronavirus to continue his effort to undermine accountability for his government. Now, this is mostly about things having nothing to do with the coronavirus, but it's dangerous because at a time when the government is understandably seizing extra powers to try to limit our travel and to enforce social distancing, it's all the more important that we actually have accountability over government, that the media is free to criticize him, that whistleblowers are able to speak out. And Trump seems to be trying to undermine those checks and balances on his power just when they're needed the most to ensure a proper public health response.
Let's move on, Ken, to recent moves by governments all over the world to expand their power. You say you're particularly concerned about what's happening in Hungary, China, and Thailand. Let's start with Hungary.
Sure. Well, Hungary, the prime minister there, Viktor Orban, basically took advantage of the coronavirus crisis to create dictatorial powers. He controls the parliament, and he had the parliament give him the power to rule by decree. So he doesn't even need parliamentary approval for legislation, and he has postponed elections indefinitely. Plus, he has said that he will penalize journalists who report so-called false information with 5 years in prison. Now, this is supposedly a European democracy that is turning into a dictatorship under the guise of protecting people from the coronavirus. But in fact, this is all about protecting the power of Viktor Orban.
The average person on the street would think China is a country that the government rules with an iron fist to begin with. So what are they doing that might be out of the ordinary?
Well, I think the biggest concern there is what they did right at the beginning. Many people realized that there were a group of doctors in Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus, who in December tried to warn us. And what the Chinese authorities did is they censored them rather than heeded their call. That was disastrous. It gave the virus a 3-week head start. There was a study by the University of Southampton that said if those 3 weeks had been used to fight the virus rather than to censor the doctors, there would have been 95% less prevalence, and the virus would not have gone global at all to the same extent.
And finally, Thailand. What do you have to say about Thailand?
Well, Thailand is similar to a number of countries where they are trying to suppress criticism of the government's response to the coronavirus. So they've told journalists only report on the official press conferences, don't talk to medics in the field. And you see parallels to this in many countries. Just at the moment when we need to hold governments to account, we need to ensure that they are using their powers to protect us, these governments are trying to protect themselves and their political power.
Ken Roth, I wish we had more time. I could speak to you about this all day long, but we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for providing us insight on this topic today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.